welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 2 in my comparison of infinite painter brushes to traditional art tools. And in this video, I'm going to take a look at the ink category. I'm using Infinite Painter for Android, but all these brushes should also be available in iOS. So we're going to go ahead and look at the first brush, and the first brush is the Chanel brush, and it's a very thin liner, and the Isley is also a thin liner. Then you get into the thicker brushes, the Alexis brush, and it gives kind of a darker look of thicker ink, and then the Jeanette brush also gives a kind of a real irregular looking ink, and then the Stella brush looks more like a marker, so you could probably use it to mimic some kind of marker or Copic marker. And then the Barreau brush is probably good for a paint marker look, and then the Beatrix is sort of a vector looking brush. The Svetlana gives you kind of a splattery ink looking brush, and I really like to use it for grass and things like that. Then the rest of the brushes, the Atticus, the Hancock, the Atticus, the Fitzgerald, and the Elliott are all kind of calligraphy style brushes, and so they give kind of a really broad chisel nib look, and you can use them for lettering maybe, and giving kind of a writing letters and things like that. And then it also, one of them gives kind of a sketchy look. The Fitzgerald and the Elliott ones give kind of a sketchy look. And then the last brush is called the Pixie brush, and it gives a pixel look. So you could draw Minecraft figures if you wanted to with this brush and get kind of a neat look that way. And then you can just go back in each of these brushes if you want to and play around with the textures if you want to, and change the brush head even, and the flow, and the mix-in rate, and all the same things that you can do with all the other brushes. And when you change the texture, you can get some really neat looking effects. It kind of looks like you've taken an ink pen and you're using a real rough paper or something, and it really does give that look. The line sort of breaks like you're using a really rough texture. When you take a dip pen and you run it across a really rough paper, the line breaks and gives a real uneven look, and you can get that with Infinite Painter when you change the texture. And I also like to use the pen category for painting grass and making little twigs on the branches. It's really good for making a twiggy bush look, and so I use it a lot for that. And then here's some traditional fine liners, and they are mostly like the first two brushes, the Chanel and the Isley brush, and then these are some alcohol markers, and you can kind of use the Barreau brush and the Stella brush to get a look like that. And so here I've got a little picture of a bird that I got off of Pixabay, where you can get royalty-free images for painting. And I'm just kind of using the pencil brush to sketch it in right now, which is how I would do this traditionally. Just grab a pencil and sketch it in so that I don't go right away to inks because I mess up, and you don't want to do that. I mean, some people can, and if you want to just practice your ink, you can, but anyway, I'm going to use the Barreau brush and try to get kind of an acrylic ink look here, because it's sort of it has a fuzzy edge where it kind of blends out, and that sort of mimics an acrylic ink look. So I'm using kind of a light orange, light tan here. And as you can see, you can make it kind of blend in together. And there are several brush pen markers out on the market, and usually they're the Posca pens, and there's several different other brands, but you can use those, and they have a real brush on them, so you can actually kind of use your acrylic ink to blend together here. And this is what this mimics sort of right here in Infinite Painter. And you just add your gray colors on here and just kind of smudge them together here. And again, you can go in and change the blending if you want to. And then you can go ahead and make the finer details with some of the smaller brushes, like the Chanel brush or the Isley. The Isley is a little bit more irregular looking than the Chanel brush, so it's good for if you want kind of a dip pen look. And I'm using it here as sort of a fine liner, and just kind of making it the details of the wings here and the feathers, just giving it kind of a sketchy look here. And you can just go ahead and do the whole outline here, and that it just gives it kind of an illustrated look here, kind of like illustrations, pen and ink illustrations. And you can go ahead and just draw in the details on the feet. It works for fine liner details here, and so I'm just going ahead and kind of giving a sketchy look for the feet here. And then you can go ahead and sort of add the ground look underneath it, or kind of a shadow, by just making a real sketchy lines, making sketchy lines there, and that just kind of gives it a ink pen look. And as you can see, it does start to look like an ink pen here. And you can also use cross hatching styles, just all kinds of different styles with these pens, because it really does look like an ink pen. And you can go ahead and just add all the details that you want. You can take it really far if you want to, make a really detailed ink drawing if you want to. And here I thought I would add a little bit of background just to see if I could get kind of an alcohol marker look. So I'm using the Stella marker, the Stella brush, and it gives kind of a marker look here, as you can see. And you can also widen it out here, and it kind of makes it look like a wide Copic marker. And you can probably play around with the blending a little bit more and make it look more like a smooth alcohol marker, or you can just kind of leave it if you want it to have a texture and give the impression that it's an alcohol marker. So as you can see, you can do quite a bit with the ink category in Infinite Painter, and it really does resemble an ink drawing. And I went ahead and put a little bit more grass in the background, and I like to use the Svetlana brush for this because it gives a splattery look, and that splattery look makes your grass look like it has seeds on the end and little seed pods. It's great for seed grass even. And then here's an example that I used with the thicker brushes, and I just wanted to get kind of a dark ink look with that painting. And then here I used it with the watercolor brushes, and as you can see, you can change the ink colors and make a really fine detailed look with your watercolor paint, and I will talk more about that in a future video. So this is the end of part 2 of my comparison of Infinite Painter brushes to traditional art tools. And in part 3, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the paint category. So thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.